session. Please do share the live. I hope that the network is stable enough for us to go through today's session and be able to finish without any interruptions. Is the network stable enough today? I just want to confirm that so that I make sure that I'm not just babbling on my own here. Right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So today's session, we are going to be looking at 5 things every woman must know earlier in life. So that's what we're going to be discussing today. 5 things every woman must know earlier in life. And I really hope that today's session brings about some revelation, and I'm hoping that you will share today's information with your daughters. For those of you who've got daughters, that's the point for today's session, so that you can be able to guide your daughters properly, and also so that maybe you can correct some of these points that we will be discussing today. That's if they happen to apply to you. So please do share the live. Let us begin. Hi, Wisdom. Welcome. Thank you so much to everyone on YouTube and everyone on TikTok. So today we are going to be looking at 5 things every woman must know earlier in her life. So just 5 things every woman must know earlier in her life. We'll try and go into detail about these things and see if they apply to you, and maybe you can also help your children. For those of you who are raising daughters, this is more important for your children than it is for yourselves, because I know most of you here are grown, you've got children already, and most of these things here might actually affect you. But let's get straight into it. So 5 things every woman must know earlier in her life. Number 1, time is a woman's biggest enemy. Time is a woman's biggest enemy. She should never date for fun, but for marriage as early as possible. Now, we all know that's easier said than done, but it is important that we educate our daughters so that they understand that time is their biggest enemy. Time favors a man, not a woman. And we will get into the reasons why time is a woman's biggest enemy. But it is important that as a woman, be careful who you choose to date earlier on in life, because time is your biggest enemy. You cannot afford to waste time with the wrong people. You cannot afford to do that. Welcome, Sebakabako. So a woman's biggest enemy is time. Time is literally against women. Time favors a man, but it is a woman's biggest enemy. So make sure that when you are dating correctly, and that you are able to read signs. Welcome, Itu. And the reason for that is that the older you get, the more certain things become difficult for you. So your biggest enemy is not necessarily a man. Your biggest enemy is time. Time is against you as a woman. So that's point number 1. 5 things every woman must know earlier in her life. Like I said, I'm doing today's session mostly for the younger generation, and for those of you who are raising daughters who are still young. Teach them this at an early stage. Time is their biggest enemy. When they date, they should never date for fun, but they should date for marriage, especially if they desire to marry one day. Point number 2. This is one of the other reasons why time is a woman's biggest enemy. So point number 2 of the things that every woman must know earlier in her life is that the older you get without settling down, the lower your sexual market value drops as a woman. So the older you get without settling down, the lower your sexual market value will drop. Now, hear me and hear me well. I'm not saying the lower your value will drop. I'm saying the lower your sexual market value will drop. Some of you might be wondering what this sexual market value might actually entail. Now, your sexual market value is your ability to bear children as a woman, your attractiveness as well. Because we might argue this, but most of the time, a man will prefer to marry a younger woman because a younger woman might be able to bear him kids. And a younger woman might be a bit more attractive than an older woman to him. Remember, number one, we said time is your biggest enemy. So when you do date, date for marriage. Don't date for fun as a woman, as a young woman. Never date for fun, date for marriage. If you see earlier on in the relationship that this is going nowhere, my advice would be to literally pull out of the relationship. So it is equally important that you don't just give your body to anyone, because all of these things will work against you. As we proceed, you'll realize what I mean. So number two, the older you get as a woman, the lower your sexual market value drops. It will drop simply because, like I said, some of the partners you meet in life might want to have children, and maybe you are at a stage where it's almost impossible or too risky for you to have children. So that means that even the man you thought would consider you for marriage is looking for someone who might bear him children. So it also means that do not take too long to identify someone you would want to settle down with as a woman. Because the older you get, the more difficult it is to actually get someone to settle down with. Now, this specific point actually does not work against men per se, but it works only against women, because time is not a factor with men. A 70-year-old man can impregnate a woman. But as a woman, the older you get without settling down, the more difficult it will become for you, because your sexual market value will drop. Now, as Christians, we might not want to get into this specific fact, Shalom Immaculate, that I would say 9 out of 10 times a man wants to marry because he also wants to enjoy sex with you. So the older you are as a woman, the more he might not be able to enjoy as much as he would when you were still younger or with a younger version of yourself. So that's why we are saying that the older you get without settling down, the lower your sexual market value will drop. And like we said, children will be a factor. At some point, you will have to get over the fear of commitment. It's something that you have to do. Especially if you have already decided that you don't want to end up alone for the rest of your life. So if that's what you've decided, I promise you, one thing that we must face as Christians is that God is not going to do it for us. You have to literally step out of your comfort zone. You have to literally put yourself out there. I remember Uncle B used to say this quite a lot, that you pray for a husband and then you lock yourself in your room, you stay in your house all day, every day. You don't even put yourself in a position to be discovered by men. Because the reality is, if you are not discoverable, they will never find you. And like I said, this is for everyone who plans to eventually settle down. But if you've got no plans of ever settling down with anyone, then I understand. Point number 3 of the things that every woman must know earlier in her life. When women are younger, listen to this one. I know this one will offend quite a few, but like I said, we are not here to bruise your ego or to offend anyone, but to actually equip you for tomorrow. Listen to this. When women are younger, they date who they want. And when they are older, they will most likely marry whoever they can, not who they want. When men are younger, they date who they can. But when they get older, a man will settle down with a woman he wants. But most women, if you happen to grow older than your youth age, you will end up having to settle down with anyone you can or risk being alone. So I want for us to then be aware that it is crucial that earlier on in life, when you are still dating, date for the right reasons and date for marriage. Never date for fun, never date to kill time. And one of the things that is important for women to note is that a man's past, this is actually more for men, a man's past does not matter more than his future. So when you do plan to marry, look at where a man is going rather than where he's been and where he is. You have to start taking proposals seriously, Immaculate, because at the moment, when you are younger, you get to pick and choose who you want to date. I mean, you've got beauty on your side. You are hot. Everyone wants you. You've got everyone's attention. But the older you get, obviously looks will fade, as they would to a man as well. But what makes a woman attractive to men is literally how she looks, how she presents herself. So even before he comes to speak to you, the one thing that will draw him to you is how you look. But the older you get, when your looks start dropping, then it becomes more difficult for you to end up with the man you truly want. You will end up having to settle for a man who's available. It might not be what you want, but because they are the only ones who are available. So I want us to then understand that when women are younger, you get to choose. But when you are older, you are most likely going to be chosen. But the reality is it might not even be the person you want to settle down with. So you'll have to compromise the person you would wish to settle down with because they no longer have eyes for you. They are eyes on a younger version of you, a more attractive version of you. Now, the crazy part is that even as old as we get as men, I mean, our are still there, all our senses are there. So when it's time to settle down, if I get to 50 and I have not found the one I want to settle down with, chances are I'll end up settling with someone much younger. So remember this, women. When you are younger, you date whoever you want because all the men are after you. But the older you get, you might have to settle down with whoever you can get. Because the ones you are looking at, your age group is now looking at younger women. Why? Because maybe they want to have children with them. So be mindful of this. And number 4. So the second last thing that every woman must know earlier in life is that men will want you for your past, not your possessions. When men decide to settle down with a woman, they do it because of the woman's past. So your past matters more to men than your future. Women choose men based on the future, but a man chooses a woman based on her past. So the number of men you have slept with, how popular you were, and here's the crazy part. Social media records every single thing. You may post a video today out there at the club, having the time of your life, only for that video to work against you the day you decide to get married. Someone sees how wild you were at a younger age because of the content that you put out there. A high-value man cares more about a woman's past than her possessions. She might be a multi-millionaire. It really would not matter to a high-value man. What would matter to a high-value man is how this woman has behaved in her past. Why? Because my woman would be a direct representative of me. When she goes out into the world, people see me in her. So no one wants to be tied to a woman who has slept with everyone. No sane man wants such a woman. No sane man wants a woman who has slept with some of his friends or people he knows. Your before Christ days matter. I'm telling you now, if you can, delete those days. I promise you, if you can, delete it. As a man, I'm telling you now that even if we saw a woman that we wanted to DM, the first thing we'll do is to go through all of your posts. We'll scroll through everything you have posted. Like if we are really interested, I mean, literally scroll down to the first thing you posted. It might have been 10 years ago. We will scroll. We have time because we are interested in you. Why? Because we don't want other men laughing at us. Imagine that feeling of trying to show off your new woman to your friends, and everyone is laughing at you because everyone has been with her, or other people know of other people who have been with her. If it was up to us, I promise you, we would all marry virgins. That is every man's dream, to end up with a virgin, so that wherever you pull up, no one can claim that they've slept with your woman. That's why I don't understand how other men forgive cheating. Honestly, yeah, they've got really, really big hearts. I don't think I have such a heart. The thought of your woman being with another man as a man will drive you crazy. But I've understood that it's, in most cases, it's literally men who don't necessarily care about the image of the woman. It's men who actually need the woman more than the woman needs the man. Then maybe, as a man, you'll be able to forgive that. But a sane man, a high-value man, listen, no high-value man can ever forgive a woman for cheating. Maybe forgive is not the right word. I would forgive, but that would be the end of the relationship. Like literally, there would be no going back. That would be the end right there. That would be the burial ceremony of this relationship. And it would not be because I'm not in love with you. I would love you with all of my heart, but still walk away. Because no man can deal with that reality on a day-to-day basis, I'm telling you. If they told you they have forgiven, if they told you that they are okay, no, they're not. They really aren't. I don't know how a man can be okay with such. I don't think it's even possible for a man to be okay with such. But I've heard men telling me themselves that they were willing to carry on, but they have not forgiven that. I promise you. It's either there's something that they need from you that you are providing for them, some value that you are providing for them, and that's why. So men want you for your past and not your possessions. You may have all the money in the world. The only reason why a sane man would ever want to settle down with you is because of where you have been. It's because how you have carried yourself in the past. Not because of the things that you have. No man should ever pursue a woman for the things that they have. If you are in a relationship with such a man, I want you to know that you are in a relationship with a parasite, someone who's looking to drain you of everything that you have, someone who's willing to live off your blood. Because no man, no sane man should ever prioritize a woman's possessions. What you have really should not matter to any man. But what should matter to every man is where you have been, is how you have carried yourself in the past, how many people you have slept with. And last but not least, so the last thing every woman must know earlier in her life is that every man who sleeps with her leaves a part of himself in her. So like I said, the point of today's session was for you to go and educate your daughters. And if we do have any young ladies here, this is what I wanted you to know. Number 5, every man who sleeps with you as a woman leaves a part of himself in you. So depending on the number of men you have slept with, I want you then to understand that God built a woman different from a man. So someone might be wondering, how is a woman different from a man? Well, for one, a woman is built to receive. Hence, every man you have ever been in sexual contact with has left something in you. Why? Because by nature you are built to receive. So whatever comes out of the man will go into the woman, because by nature God designed her to receive. But I always say this, the most dangerous part about a woman being a receiver is that she's also an incubator. What is an incubator? An incubator is someone or something that takes something in a natural form and adds to it and then multiplies it. So if I sleep with you right now and I'm struggling with depression and I sleep with you, I promise you, as a woman, you will adopt a bit of what I am struggling with, and you will start struggling at yourself. You might not even notice this in the early stages of the relationship. You might only notice this maybe when you break up with this person. Only then you realize that, why am I struggling to handle the breakup? Because I've never struggled to handle breakups. But here's the crazy part. Now, because the man you are sleeping with might not be faithful to you only and is sleeping with other people. So whatever this man has, he brings to you and he deposits it to you. It might be things that other women he's sleeping with are struggling with. He takes from there, he transfers to you. Why? Because you are a receiver by nature. You will receive. So he might sleep with a woman who's struggling with anxiety, who's struggling with depression. Obviously, because of soul ties, he shares in that. But the danger is that whatever he gets from there, he brings to you. So it is important that you be mindful of the people you are sleeping with. Because a man will leave a part of himself with you. Whatever this part is, you will get to share in it. Looking back at, let's take a look at your own life. Just try and look back and see something that today you are struggling with that you didn't necessarily struggle with a while back. Maybe in your first few relationships, you never struggled with this one thing. But today, this thing has become a problem for you. It might be an emotional thing, like fear, like anxiety, like depression, like stress. Maybe you've never struggled with such, but today you notice that actually, I've been through similar situations, but I never suffered the way I'm suffering now. And the reason why you are suffering is because of the people you have slept with. You see, this thing goes as far as affecting our finances. You know that some of the people that we have slept with in the past are responsible for the difficulty that you are in. Your failure to find a job, your struggle with finding a job, poverty, all of these things. Some people have left you with whatever they got somewhere else when they slept with those people, because they slept with you also. They left it with you. Have you ever heard the saying that men are takers? But when a man takes, it doesn't keep. It doesn't have the ability to absorb and keep. A man takes, transfers, takes, transfers. He takes from this woman, he transfers to this one, and then he takes from this one, he takes to the other one. So it is important that when you sleep with a person and you see that there are signs that this person is not faithful, for your own good, limit the sexual contact with this person. For your own benefit, limit the sexual contact with this person. In fact, Paul says in the book of Corinthians, he says about men, he says, don't you know that he who lies with a prostitute becomes one with her? So if a man is sleeping with a prostitute who has slept with 100 men who are dealing with 100 different spirits, the man becomes one with the prostitute. But here's the danger. The man comes back and sleeps with you after the prostitute. So you become one with the man and you become one with the prostitutes. Most of the problems you today have a sexual origin. Because sex was not meant to be a fun act. Sex was meant to be a sacred symbol. It was meant to be a sacred covenant that joins two people for life. Now, if two people and only two people are joined for life, the only thing that can happen there is that there will be healing and no trouble brought in, because they are not fetching anything from outside. So when they come together, they heal each other, and the healing remains right there. But because the people you are sleeping with other people, how can you heal? How will you ever heal? That is the sad reality of sex and what it does. Remember how we got to this point is we were discussing the 5 things every woman must know earlier in her life. Now, for Christians, it is never too late. For Christians, you can always come back and fix this thing. Oh, that's a beautiful question, D. In fact, let me take the opportunity and sell you my book, which touches on this fact. You see the book right behind me? Let me see. I think there's a copy somewhere there. Here, let me get... So I've got a book that literally focuses on these matters, and it's 35 and Married 15 Times, the biblical truth about marriage and sexual intercourse. So the book focuses on biblical solutions for these specific problems. Where you are dating or you are sleeping with people who have slept with other people, how it affects you. And do you know that some of the reasons why you are currently struggling, D, you can go onto our bio when we finish. There is a WhatsApp number there. There's also a website. The book is selling for $350. I'm not sure if a number appears. I doubt if a number does appear. I don't think a number appears there. If you put a cell phone number, it should. I don't think it will appear. But on our bio, there is a WhatsApp number there. When you send a WhatsApp, you'll automatically get an automated response with banking details. The book is selling for $350, including courier within South Africa. But the book is also available on Amazon.com. You can go to Google and just put the title there. You should get the book within 3 days. You can also send us a DM right here on TikTok and on YouTube. Now, I was saying to you, the other problem with sex is that the reason why you are struggling today to make a relationship work is because of your past sexual experiences or past sexual encounters. Now, I'm talking to you who get into relationships, but all of your relationships, they keep ending prematurely. There's no valid reason as to why a person leaves you, as to why your past relationships end up failing. And I'll tell you this, everything is connected to past sexual experiences. The reason you are struggling today in your current relationship, and the reason why your current relationship will end in a separation or a divorce, is most likely because of your past sexual experiences or your past sexual encounters. Now, for just a quick summary on how this thing happens, who comes, but like I said, everything is in the book, so I'm just going to this. Like I said, we've got a book that details all the solutions to what we are speaking about today. It is 35 and Married 15 Times, the biblical truth about marriage and sexual intercourse. So it's got biblical reference on everything that we have discussed in the live. But I want to explain to you how this thing happens. So when you meet a man as a woman and the man sleeps with you and you separate, this will be part of, I think, the session that we will have in 2 weeks from now. We will discuss this. It affects a woman's ability to pair bond. The number of men you have slept with affects your ability as a woman to pair bond with a new man. So let's say you have slept with 10 of us or 5 of us, and now you have found the one you believe that this is the one I want to settle down with. Your past sexual encounters will affect your ability to pair bond with the new person that you want to settle down with. And I want you to understand that when you then lie with a woman as a man, or when you sleep with a man as a woman, and you break up with this man and you adopt or you inherit a bit of what the man had, one of the biggest oppositions to relationships or to marriages is the masculine energy. Do you realize that most women have adopted masculine energy? They behave more like men than women. In your earlier days, your first few relationships, your first 2-3 relationships, you were more of a woman than a man. But now, most of you behave more like men than women. And the reason why you do that is because you have adopted masculine energy from every man you have slept with. That's why today you are this stubborn. That's why today you have so much anger. That's why today you fight men the way you do. That's why today you are doubtful of every man who comes into your life. Why? It's because of the masculine energy that you have adopted. But let's say you are able to fight off the masculine energy and you end up sleeping with, and you end up getting a man that you decide to settle down with. What will happen from there is that the masculine energy that you have adopted from the spirits of all the men you have bonded with, that you have tied your soul to other men who have now since left you and you are alone. So what happens is that the spirits of those men whom you have slept with and separated from, they now live in you. But the danger with that is that I come as an innocent man, I meet you, I want you, I decide to marry you, we get married. A few years down the line, we can't make the marriage work. Why? Because the masculine spirits in you are fighting my masculine spirit. That's why most women, after they've been hurt so much, they behave more like men. They think like men. And it's because of the energies you have adopted. And also, your way of coping with pain as a woman. You start thinking like a man. It's really not a big deal for women to try and understand how men think. But it's a problem when a woman starts thinking like a man. Because a man is not looking to marry himself. He wants to marry a woman. He wants the feminine energy of a woman. But because you have slept with multiple men, your feminine energy is suppressed by the masculine energy, the masculine energies of other men. The same does happen to men. The same does happen to men. Other men are the reason why they cannot win in relationships. So the same can affect men. The more women you have slept with as a man, also you have adopted those spirits. But you know, I think the advantage of a man is that a man will literally release everything unto the woman he sleeps with. So a man is able to cleanse himself with different women. Do you know why all of these older men believe that? Do you know why the older men are chasing virgins? It is simply because they have understood the power of a virgin to absorb these energies, these different spirits. And it is a sad, sad reality, because the virgins are literally convinced that this man wants to marry me and wants to spend the rest of his life with me. Now, in some cases, that's what the man initially wanted. But because the man is not faithful himself, he's dealing with spirits of different women. And the spirits of different women are fighting the woman he is with. Eventually, that relationship will not last. And none of you will be able to explain why we couldn't make it work. It's because, even the Bible says, we do not fight against flesh and blood, but we fight against principalities, authorities, and rulers of different realms. So your fight is not against each other, your bodies. Your fight is a spiritual battle. All the problems that you are facing in your relationship are spiritual problems. But because you cannot diagnose properly, you are trying to focus on the physical matter. And the physical matter is that your partner is a cheater, they are cheating on you, they are very unfaithful. But the source of your problem, the source of the partner being unfaithful, is not that they love sex or that they are addicted to sex. This is a spiritual matter. It must be addressed spiritually. Because there's no way to force anyone to stop cheating. The only way a person ever heals is when they heal spiritually. The only way a person ever changes in life is when they change spiritually. Physically, there's nothing you can do. You can catch them for cheating. They will apologize because they don't want to lose you. They're not ready to lose you, but it's not to say that they are stopping. No, they say, I apologize. I will never do it again because now you have caught me. But I promise you, it's very seldom where someone stops just because they've been caught. Someone stops because something has happened inside of them. Their spirit is convicted. That's the only time a person will stop cheating on you. Because there has been something inside of them, spiritually so. Listen, people don't fear HIV, AIDS. They don't fear these things. People don't fear getting pregnant. Why? Abortion is an option. That's why you hear so many stories of people who only got pregnant through one-night stands. And you wonder, did you guys not think about HIV or AIDS? Did you not think about diseases? I mean, you saw each other once and you couldn't control yourself because you did not have protection. Because if you can't get protection, then why did you just walk away? It tells you that people don't really, when they are, in fact, men and women, when they are there, it's like something takes over their minds. And the person would risk their health just for 5 minutes. Anyway, that is it for me. But just to recap before I go, for those of you who came late, the topic today was 5 things every woman must know earlier in her life. So like I said, the intention was for you who are older to go teach your daughters, the teenagers you are raising, the young women that you are raising. And for the older ones who are here, it is for you to reflect and see how you can then make adjustments. I don't believe that there is such a thing as too late. It's never too late. As long as you're still breathing, it will never be too late. So it's never too late to correct this. But 5 things every woman must know earlier in her life. Number 1, we said, time is a woman's biggest enemy. She should never date for fun, but for marriage as early as possible. A woman's biggest enemy is time. The longer you wait, the longer it will be, the more difficult it will be for you to find the right one to settle down with. So try and settle down as early as possible as a woman. That's if you can truly identify the one you believe is the right one. Then settle down. Don't leave it for too late. Which is why reason number 2 then becomes relevant. And reason number 2, or the second thing that every woman must know earlier in her life, is that the older you get without settling down, the lower your sexual market value drops. So that's number 2. The longer you take without settling down, the lower your sexual market value drops. Because men are looking for women who can reproduce, who they can reproduce with. So the older you get without settling down, the more difficult it will be to find a partner, because maybe they want to have children with you and it becomes more difficult or more riskier to have children. And also, the older you get, you will not stay as attractive as you are forever. So that's something to mind, something to be mindful of. Okay, number 3. We said the third thing every woman must know earlier in her life is that when women are younger, they date who they want. And when they are older, they are most likely to marry who they can. So the older you are, the more difficult it will be for you to have options as a woman. In fact, your options drop every year. Your options drop every year. You will be most likely forced to end up marrying someone who you don't really love, who you don't really consider your first option. Why? Because they are the only ones willing to marry you. Now, this works in favor of men. Why? Because when men are younger, they date who they can. They don't have the choice. But when they get older, they will marry who they want to marry. They have options. They can decide. Why? You'll find that at times they are more financially stable now, and they become more attractive to women. And the 4th thing every woman must know earlier in her life is that men want you for your past, not your possessions. So your past matters to men more than what you have. How you carried yourself in your past is way more important to a man than what you have. You may be a multi-millionaire, you may have all the qualifications and earn millions, but what matters to a man is your past more than what you possess as a woman. Why? Because you determine how other men see your man. It's either when they see him with you, they laugh at him, or when they see you with him, they envy him. Now, all men want to be envied for their women. We all want a woman that men have not touched. If it was up to us, we would all marry virgins. Because then we are guaranteed that men have not been with her and that no one can claim to have slept with her, because it matters. And last but not least, we said the 5th thing a woman must know earlier in life is that every man who sleeps with her leaves a part of himself in her, and she will have to live with this thing for the rest of her life, because there is no way of getting it out. She can't get it out. She can only share it with other men, but she can't get it out. And I said this is the reason why older men are delusional and they think that they can cleanse themselves with virgins. So there's a reason why older men target virgins. There's a reason why other men target virgins. And it's because they believe that they can be cleansed. At some point, you remember this myth that virgins can cure HIV. Yes, we know it was nonsense. It was a myth, but I'm sure you all remember this. At some point, it was thought that a virgin would cure HIV if you slept with one. And this is the reason why men go hunting for virgins. The younger you are, the more attractive you are to them. So it tells you that even the older men are not looking for their age mates, but they are looking for younger women. Because they believe they can cleanse themselves. They believe that they can get stronger through virgins. Now, I don't want to get too much into that because these are unfounded claims. They have not been proven. So that is it for me. Thank you so much to each and every one of you, those who are joining us on TikTok and those who are joining us on YouTube. Thank you so much. We appreciate each and every one of you. That's true, Tidy. Just a reminder, for those of you who want to read more on this and maybe how you can get some assistance or how you can help yourself, we've got the book, 35 and Married 15 Times, The Biblical Truth About Marriage and Sexual Intercourse. This book will explain to you what happens to you when you sleep with a person. It will explain the spiritual consequences of sex and also how you can find some relief for yourself and how you can protect your children. It will also help you to identify a godly man or a godly woman. It will help you to identify a person who is truly born again, not someone who claims to be born again. The qualities, you'll find them here. How to deal with the issue of separation, of divorce as a Christian, the issue of polygamy as a Christian. You'll find it here with scriptural reference. So like I said, go onto our bio or you can send us a DM. The book is selling for $350, including delivery. We also offer coaching programs, paid coaching programs, and relationship courses. Those of you who are struggling with divorce, who are struggling with dealing with separation, how to move on after a hectic divorce, or how to deal with the current situation that you are experiencing. We've got a website there. You can also contact us through the WhatsApp number that is on our bio, or you can DM us. But thank you so much for your time, family. We will meet again tomorrow morning. Those of you who are not aware, we are here Monday to Friday at 4 a.m. Central African Time. 4 a.m. Central African Time, we meet here for Bible study and prayer. So if you are up tomorrow morning at 4 a.m., please do join us for Bible study and prayer. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bless you. Actually, Margaret, you know, the Bible says one crucial thing that I appreciate about the Bible, the brutal truth. And this truth affects you whether you are a Christian or not. The Bible says, my people are destroyed because they lack knowledge. So the Bible says most of our problems are from a lack of knowledge. And I always say this, that God raised me up for knowledge, for information in the areas of dating, sex, and marriage, in the areas of helping people discover their life purpose, and in the areas of kingdom finances. So God raised me for those three areas. Now, when Hosea 4:6 says, my people are destroyed because they lack knowledge, it's not about the fact that you are a Christian or you are not a Christian, but most of the problems in our lives are from a lack of knowledge. We don't have the necessary knowledge we are supposed to have, and that's why we are struggling. And that is why God has helped me to then write and publish this book and to come up with the coaching programs and to come up with the courses to try and bridge the gap. I focus more on ancient biblical secrets for relationship problems, for life purpose problems, for financial problems. So check out our website, check out our bio to get the number, or you can send us a DM. God bless each and every one of you. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you.